Okay, so for this deep dive, we're looking at something that on the surface seems really technical. It's a UK government consultation on the ECO4 scheme.
Right, the energy company obligation.
Exactly. And our mission really is to get into why this seemingly small change is so critical for, well, your energy bill.
And we should be clear, this is not a small scheme. I mean, it's huge. We're talking about almost 950,000 efficiency measures in roughly 280,000 households by September 2025.
That's a massive rollout.
It is, but here's the core problem, and this is where it gets interesting. The energy suppliers who had to deliver this, they spent materially more money than anyone ever anticipated.
So that's the big question then, isn't it? Why? Why did the costs just, balloon like that?
Well, the source material points to three main pressures. First up, the supply chain.
For the installers and the materials themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It was already really, really constrained. And then in 2023, the government launched another scheme, the Great British Insulation Scheme, or GBIS.
Wait, so you have two major government initiatives essentially competing for the same limited pool of contractors.
You got it. It created internal competition. And on top of that, the source material mentions the whole scheme started late.
Right, summer 2022 instead of April 1st. That must have squeezed the timeline.
It absolutely did. It just reduced the time they had to hit the targets. But neither of those things explains the sheer scale of the cost increase.
So what was the knockout blow?
International events.
Yeah.
Specifically the war in Ukraine. A lot of insulation materials are, heavily reliant on fossil fuels in their production.
Of course.
So inflation on those specific products soared by over 70%. 70.
70%. That's staggering. That's far beyond general inflation.
Completely. And that's the number that creates the problem for you, for the consumer.
Because that cost has to go somewhere. So how does it land on our bills?
It comes down to the energy price cap that Ofgem manages. That cap includes a specific allowance for these ECO4 policy costs. With these outturn costs being so high, Ofgem would pretty much be legally required to consult on an upward adjustment to the cap.
In other words, a price hike for everyone on a default tariff.
Precisely. Which is what the government is desperately trying to prevent. The plan is to use Exchequer funding, so public money, to pay suppliers directly and shield households.
Right. So if they have the money, why not just pay them? Why the need for this complicated legal fix?
And this is where we get into the fine print. There's a roadblock in the legislation. It's Article 12(1)(e) of the ECO4 Order.
And what does that say?
It states that a qualifying action, like installing insulation, is not funded by any grant from public funds.
So that was put in to stop double counting, I assume, to make sure a supplier couldn't claim for the same job under ECO4 in another government program?
Exactly. It was a sensible rule for normal times, but it's a blanket ban. It excludes any grant from public funds. It couldn't anticipate this kind of crisis.
So it's blocking the solution.
It's blocking the solution. So the consultation proposes what they're calling a small technical change.
And what does that involve?
Instead of a blanket ban, they're going to amend the article to specifically list which government grants are excluded.
Things like the Social Housing Decarbonization Fund, Boiler Upgrade Scheme, those existing pots of money.
Precisely. By specifying the excluded grants.
It leaves the door open for a new grant that isn't on the list.
You got it. They can then create a new grant specifically for this ECO4 cost recovery. And because it's not on the banned list, they can pay the suppliers. The risk of a bill hike for consumers just vanishes.
It's a very clever piece of legislative surgery, really. And it's all happening fast. The consultation was issued December 8th, 2025, and they want responses by January 5th, 2026.
A very tight turnaround. It shows you how urgently they want to fix this. It's a case study in government using policy fine print to react to these huge, unexpected global shocks.
So it's not just about insulation. It's about how the legal system can adapt to protect people from economic volatility.
It really is. And on that note, here's a final thought for you to take away.
Let's hear it.
Considering that the legislation being amended was only ever written to prevent double counting, just a routine bit of administration, does this show that policy designed for day-to-day tidiness often becomes the biggest legal roadblock when a government actually needs to intervene in a real unanticipated crisis?